So it seems that there's some big confirmations for Games Workshop's new Amazon show. A bunch of Space Marines are returning, including some rather hard to find rare Terminators. Last weekend's releases sold out rather disappointingly quickly, and there's a few more teasers and new models. Let's do a roundup of some Warhammer news. Hello and welcome back to Warspecs Tactics, where today I thought I'd do another quick news roundup, talking through a whole bunch of different topics that I didn't really think needed their entire video all to themselves, though I still found interesting, around Games Workshop's news and releases. Let's round up a bunch of teasers and things they've shown us over the past few days, and talk about their releases both from last weekend and this one coming up. Firstly, and perhaps some of the biggest news in Games Workshop trying to bring Warhammer to the masses. For a long time now we've known that there's been an important date in Games Workshop's calendar this December, and basically confirming whether or not the Amazon TV series with Henry Cavill would get made or not. They'd already given a bit more of an official announcement that they were in talks about this, but until this point nothing was really set on stone. They had a period where they were basically trying to agree on creative guidelines by December. A big discussion with Games Workshop, Amazon and the actual people making the show, to iron out very roughly what story they were going to tell, and make sure that all parties were happy with that, where I guess Games Workshop would have a vested interest in making sure their IP is done right, and doesn't turn into one of the many examples of shows which doesn't really do its source material all that much justice. There did seem to be a fair bit of speculation and clickbait going around that have fallen through, but it seems that that's very much not the case. They have officially confirmed that the project will be happening, and just gave us a few very tentative clues. According to their Warhammer community article, they now have a synopsis and ordering for the stories we'll tell, and they specifically called attention to the fact that it was multiple stories, so not just one project. It sounds like more than one thing has got approved here. Though from previous communication on the subject it did sound like they both had a TV show and potentially a movie in the works at the very least, though I guess this could also imply something like an anthology or similar. Otherwise, they said it'd be carefully crafted to make it just right, which I think we're all crossing our fingers for. I feel like Games Workshop have been on a bit of a high point with 40k stuff over the past month or so, the Space Marine 2 game and that secret level drop, so fingers crossed it could live up to the hype. And they said that now things have been approved, Project 1 with capital letters is about to go into development proper, and one of the first stages is to get an actual finalised script written. I wouldn't exactly be holding my breath for it though, given that the timeframe's only hint was that it'll be some years before it happens. When they say some, that means at least 2 and maybe more. I guess before it airs we'll hear really quite a lot more about it, but to me that implies a 2027 release date or later. It was interesting to see that Henry Cavill himself also shared the news too, taking a picture of himself in a Warhammer hat, apparently by the store in which he bought his first Warhammer models 30 years ago. In the post on the socials, he said that he's basically been looking over characters and established lore. The place they've chosen, he says, is a fantastic place to start our universe, and Amazon and Games Workshop have agreed to it. It'll certainly be interesting to see what they choose for this. We haven't really had too much in the way of firm hints. I'd guess they'd go for something in the contemporary 40k setting, given it's the one that people are most familiar with. We did get this teaser of an Imperial Aquila with one half of it all broken and twisted and corrupted, which apparently was one from the Age of Darkness Horus Heresy book, so I don't know if that gives it a small chance that it could be a Heresy era setting. Definitely doesn't seem anything in the way of hard confirmation though. The last time they focused on this, they repeatedly mentioned the word movie, and it does sound like at least one of the projects they've been going towards is an actual full 40k movie. My guess is though that if that really is the case, that'll be a fair bit further down the line, and probably after whatever this TV show is that comes first. It seems like this announcement was lined up with the debut of Warhammer 40k on Amazon as well though, given that that secret level episode has now gone live. This was the animated short that's part of a sort of gaming anthology called Secret Level. A whole bunch of episodes about a bunch of different settings, just one of them is dedicated to Warhammer 40k. It's basically a rather awesomely done short animation that features Lieutenant Titus from the Space Marine 2 games, supposedly set after the events of that, the man himself going on a mortal level suicide mission. I was able to watch that myself and I won't give too much away. I will say though that it featured some rather brutal Space Marine combat done incredibly well. Titus fighting alongside some Ultramarine Blade Guards to cut down some Tzeentchian heretics, though we could kind of gather that much from the teaser trailers they gave us, and some rather awesomely done warp shenanigans, tying in with just a little bit of Titus' backstory. In tone and style-wise, I must admit it really did remind me a lot of the Astartes animations, some grim and weighty, mostly silent space marines, moving from place to place and dispatching their enemies with calculated ease, going from fighting mortals to things altogether a bit more otherworldly. And it was interesting to see that the creator of the Astartes animation, Sayama Pedersen, was named in the credits for this one. It'll be awesome to see some more of his work whenever Astartes 2 comes out. It does feel a bit notable that Games Workshop had Lieutenant Titus go on sale more widely across Warhammer stores across the world, all at the same time as this animation was coming out, It looks like the confirmed pricing for him is £26, €34 or $42, and he's on the Warhammer web store. It appears that for the most part he isn't going more widely to discount retailers yet though. He's got that promotion where if you buy him physically in store, then you get a voucher that can be spent in the store sometime during January, but I guess that'll only be useful if it's convenient to get into one of Games Workshop's Warhammer stores and they actually have stock of him. They're really not holding back on promoting Mr. Titus though. They had a few tie-in merch and digital things today, including content and new things for Space Marine 2 and some digital stuff, and a Joy Toy figure of Lieutenant Titus too. Otherwise, beyond Amazon and Titus things, last weekend Games Workshop revealed a whole bunch of Firstborn Space Marines coming back for pre-order. I guess the next major release for Warhammer 40k will be the big Krieg one. I feel like we've got a few other things outstanding at the moment. There seem to be loads of Necromunda miniatures that they've previewed and haven't put up for sale yet. But in general, for more major releases for their game systems, they tend to keep things a little bit more quiet over the Christmas and New Year period, and then step things up for January a bit. In any case though, for the made-to-order things, apparently this time round it's going to be a 1 week pre-order between the 14th and the 22nd of December, and then if you pick up the miniatures, they ship out within the next 180 days, they're often a fair bit sooner than that. It looks like there's 2 sets of Firstborn Marines going up for sale. The first ones are the Space Marine Company Command. There's a Command Squad, Chaplain, Librarian and Captain. All of these ones are plastic miniatures and haven't really been retired all that long ago. The characters were some of the last holdouts of the Firstborn Space Marine character range, which is pretty much entirely Primaris now, and the Command Squad only got updated to the company heroes at the start of 10th edition. Could be nice enough for anyone who wants a blast of nostalgia. Maybe it feels a little bit unhelpful that they're all bundled together though. Say for example, if you only really wanted one sculpt out of them, it doesn't look like it to be possible just to buy the one mini as opposed to the entire set. It doesn't look like the prices of these have been shared anywhere yet, at least that I've seen so far. I guess as made to order ones we'll only find out when they go live on Saturday. Otherwise though, I feel like the Terminators might be the more interesting one of the 2 offerings. This one's billed as the Heroes of the First Company, basically 10 Space Marine Terminator sculpts from the Space Marine Heroes line. I believe that these ones were the second season of them from around about 6 years ago or so. Seems like these ones are getting re-released in a similar sort of way to the Primaris and Death Guard sculpts that we had in their Kill Team starter sets, being able to get them all in one go as opposed to the sort of blind box things that they did with the Heroes range and then generally went out of production at one time or another. Terminators have certainly had a fair bit more focus in 10th edition than previous ones. Scale-wise, these guys are a little bit bigger and more detailed than the old-style Firstborn Terminators, but they're still far closer to those than the new and reproportioned and beefier Terminators that we got at the start of 10th edition. In general, I feel like the majority of the sculpts are at least nice enough, a little bit more character than a few of the Terminator models out there. There's a Captain and Ancient, all the standard heavy weapons they can take, a few with Stormbolters and Power Fists, and some Assault Terminators. They're painted up as Blood Angels here, but I believe they don't have any specific chapter iconography sculpted, and you could paint them up as whatever you wanted. Feels like they definitely could have some appeal, maybe could do okay for the newly returned Deathwatch datasheet. At least you'd be able to field the mix of heavy weapons and assault terminators and things in that one. And again, it'd be kind of interesting to see the price on these guys. I'd guess will probably be less than 2 boxes of Terminators cost at the moment, though by how much I'm not sure. I maybe wouldn't be too surprised if we're not done for returning models going to pre-order. Over the past few years they've revamped a whole bunch of old 40k starter box sets and basically had them on sale as a made-to-order miniatures only offering. I think we had the Battle of Macragge last year and previously the 3rd edition starter set and Dark Vengeance. I think that most of these were announced just a little bit before Christmas, in a few days before. So it will be interesting to see whether or not we got, say, Assault on Black Reach, the only one that they've not redone, or perhaps even go a bit more contemporary and 8th edition Dark Imperium with the Death Guard and the Primaris. Either of those could be pretty fun. I guess Dark Imperium might be a bit more used to more people for more contemporary collections. I've got a lot of love for Assault on Black Reach. That was definitely a box set that I enjoyed at the time. For other hints and teasers, Games Workshop seems to have dropped yet another hint towards Emperor's Children, these ones appearing in their Red Gobbo competition bits. And now we've got a Chaos Space Marine helmet to accompany the collection of items that really quite clearly put together all signified Emperor's Children, the snake hinting towards Fulgrim. We do basically 100% know that we are going to get Emperor's Children reveals in the not too distant future, given that they're already showing bits of them. Again, seems just to add more weight to the fact that they could come out on Christmas Day. With the release of Brutal and Cunning last weekend, I was interested to see just how fast it sold out, and it does rather unfortunately seem that Games Workshop's reverting to type with the Kill Team box sets. The ones that came out in their previous edition of the game were really quite short-lived one-and-done ones, where if you weren't quick to the punch, you basically wouldn't be able to buy one. Some of them just kind of crazily underproduced for how many people wanted them. It seems that Brutal and Cunning did leave a fair few people disappointed with the new tank busters and rattlings. It was gone in the UK and USA rather quickly, though it still seems to be available in Australia, where they quite often seem to have a little bit better stock. Either that or fewer sales due to higher prices. Not the best news on that one really. Again, just kind of underlines that for these Kill Team box sets, if you do want one of the limited ones, you really do need to get there fast. Though I guess we'll get the tank busters and the rattlings releasing individually, maybe like 3 months down the line or so. As well as that though, the limited edition Infinite and Divine book also sold out super quickly and got super scalped. This one was the limited reprinting of basically the most popular Necron book. A really quite cool jazzy cover and signed by the author. Again, GW don't seem to be doing any better for combating the scalpers on that one, basically gone in 10 minutes in some areas. And then enterprising people seem to be posting them on eBay once again, asking over £200 or around $250 for them. Finally, we've got a few new miniatures. Games Workshop really do seem to have been keeping the Necromunda miniatures coming very frequently. We've basically had a small Forge World character set coming out just about every Monday for the last several. And we got a lot of Ironhead squats before that. It seems that the latest entry for these are some rather funky Imperial Noble envoys, apparently a house tie on the Odo Coven. That's apparently an ancient house on Necromunda with ties to Nihon, so I guess theoretically ancient Japanese heraldry. The idea behind these is interesting enough. Apparently they have a Psyker paired with a Null envoy, so the pair basically have some powerful warp magic but also the ability to turn it off whenever needed, and the two are essentially controlled by far by one of the nobles of the house. The miniatures are pretty out there ones for Warhammer 40k. I guess Necromunda allows them to do all sorts of crazy mad stuff from the backstory. They're made in Forge World resin as per normal. I guess you could use the main girl as an unusual Primaris Psyker for guard potentially, or maybe a stand-in for an Astropath or something, if you wanted something far less mainstream. Finally, for model reveals, I did quite enjoy these 3 Old World Wizards and Accomplices. Again, some more Forge World resin releases, and I guess could be handy enough alongside the Empire forces that have been returning in the not too distant past. It is pretty fun just seeing their designers take some more modern miniature making techniques and apply them to miniatures that are aiming to look a fair bit more classic. The familiars are kind of fun as well, with the sort of toad-like thing going along with the Forest Wizard guy. A bunch of candles and a mini skeleton for the Death Wizard, and a gnome who's been given rather too many books to carry on the right. Overall, a whole bunch of interesting stuff there. Look forward to hearing your takes on the Amazon things and Space Marines coming back for pre-order. Though for this one I'll just wind up the video by talking briefly about the Krieg giveaway, which is the Auspex Tactics giveaway for January. This one looks to be the next major Warhammer 40k release, and basically the channel's January giveaway will be for 8 copies of the Krieg Big Box, containing the 10 Death Riders, Lord Marshal Dreer, the Combat Engineers, Artillery, and the Guard Codex and data cards. As ever with the channel giveaways, there'll be 2 equal ways to enter, both of them links down in the video description. You can either support the channel on Patreon for any amount, that gets you automatic entry into the giveaways each and every month, and is the main thing that supports me here on YouTube. Or otherwise, as an alternative entry, you can support the channel via social media. That's completely for free, and if you want to enter that way, you basically do so by doing these 3 actions. First, boost the algorithms by subscribing to the YouTube channel and liking the Facebook page, and then to actually enter the draw, the giveaway post appears on the 1st of January at midnight UK time. Respond to that post within the next 24 hours of any 40k mini or imagery, along with your name and the date handwritten within the same photo, just to ensure that the prizes go to real people and not bots or spammers. Then, after the 24 hours, the entries are closed and the draw is done with a random number generator. I'll be picking out the 8 winners, and then I'll announce them on the channel update video on YouTube on the 4th of January. We don't 100% know exactly when the box set's dropping, but likely sometime in January, and the box sets will be posted after I receive my orders of them. In any case, feel free to check out the channel's Patreon page or the Facebook. They're both linked down in the video description. I'll leave this one here for now though. Look forward to hearing all your thoughts down in the comments, and feel free to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more like this. I do try and keep up with Games Workshop's news and model releases. Finally, if you've been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that linked in the video description. As mentioned, it's one of the options for entering the giveaways, as well as that there's also occasional videos early, and other things like names in the credits and Discord roles and things, if that should be of interest. In any case, feel free to check it out in the video description below. A massive thank you for listening though, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.